This time next week, we'll be one round into the 2024 NFL draft, and we will know some of the liars and some of the truth tellers from all of the buildup. We're going to predict some of those right now on Locked On NFL.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into your Friday episode of Locked On NFL, your daily podcast covering the National Football League, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks so much for making Locked On NFL your first listen of the day every day. And don't forget, you can subscribe for free on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this podcast. I'm David Harrison. He's Tony Wiggins. We are on Twitter at DHarrison82 and at Talking Shop Wig. That's 2 G's on the end of Wig. Both of us credential members of the media. Wig is covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm covering the Washington Commanders for this illustrious network and for our respective outlets. Locked On NFL is here for you Monday through Friday, along with our everydayers and everydayers. You already know because we tell you every day, but we appreciate you for coming through like you do. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I can freely admit that I have a competitive streak to me, and I am a big fan of Monopoly Go because of it. The mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly lets you join your friends. So download Monopoly Go now for free at the App Store or on Google Play. On today's episode, we are going to talk about the team that we don't want to be heading into draft weekend next week. And there are some interesting candidates. We're going to talk about how much movement you should expect on day one of the NFL draft. But Wig, first, we got to talk about smoke screens, misdirection, straight up lies, whatever you want to call it. This is the time of year. It always kills me, man, because this is the time of year where videos get leaked, where rumors get started, where, oh, this guy might have this ailment or this guy might have this illness. And it kills me, Wig, because I always feel like there's someone sitting in an office somewhere who says, man, I really want this player on my team. So I'm going to do this kid dirty as hell to try to make his stock drop so he falls to me. And then if it works, I'm going to draft him and I'm going to bring him in here. I'm going to hug him. I'm going to hug his family. I'm going to tell him how much I love him and how much we're going to take care of him, knowing the whole time I'm the reason you just lost hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars, depending on how effective these smear campaigns are. So it always kills me this time of year to see that kind of stuff happening to these guys. But there's also the other side of this where people start rising, and sometimes they start rising for no good reason. Sometimes they start rising because people are finally starting to wake up. Let's start with Texas defensive tackle Byron Murphy, the second Wig. When we started this whole process back in like January, T'Vondre Sweat was like first round dude. Byron Murphy was that other guy that could be good as well. Now, T'Vondre Sweat, I don't know where his stock is right now, but Byron Murphy the second appears to be on the rise. What do you think about that?
I got to watch it, and I think it comes from an agent, and it doesn't mean it's not true. So I want to clarify something that Bill Belichick said, who was on the Pat McAfee show. He said that you don't start hearing stuff until 12 hours before the draft. All the stuff you hear now comes from agents. So a lot of folks we know took that and ran with it as agents trying to boost up their own clients, which is perfectly well within their right to do. I took it as, because of what I know and what I've experienced and been around, is that there's an inkling of truth to it because the agents get it from the teams. And what the agents do is regurgitate because they want to improve their reputation and talk about their guy and promote their guy. They get that stuff from the teams. The agents ain't making that stuff up just to make it up. Now, there may be some unscrupulous dude out there that just wants to make stuff up and tell a bunch of people a bunch of lies, but he's talking to a bunch of people that don't have draft picks, right? So you're not going to lie your way into some GM believing that your day 2 player or your third round pick is going to be a first round pick because normally what they'll do, if you say somebody's interested in them in the first round, they'll go, well, that's stupid. That's the way they feel because they're going on their own independent evaluation. Byron Murphy, though, seems like the closer we get to the process, he's the type of guy that a coach would like because of his attitude, of his go hard, of how he affects football games. My worry about him is he ain't Aaron Donald, right? And Aaron Donald was listed at 6'2", 287 or something like that. This cat is either 6 feet or 6'1", about 297 pounds. He ain't that. So you're looking at, like, Aaron Donald could beat you with the Bruce Lee Kung Fu, quick feet, all that stuff. This kid ain't doing that. This kid is a power guy at 6'1", 297.
Yep.
I just don't believe that there are a bunch of GMs that believe in traits that are sitting there salivating to death about Byron freaking Murphy. I just can't buy it. I think he's a good player. I think in the right situation, he'll be good. I just don't believe in a power player that's small going to the NFL. I don't. You have to be an off-ball linebacker or Bob Sanders, somebody playing safety where you get a free run. I don't believe that you're going to take a dude that size and put him in the trenches. We did it once with Aaron Donald. We did it once with John Randall. I don't see either one of them in him. So I just think that is a smokescreen that's coming from probably an agent that heard from a team that's in the back of the first round. And now everybody's talking about the kid might be a top 15 pick, and I don't buy it.
Yeah, top 15 is a little bit rich. Like there's a difference between being a first round guy, being a top 20 guy, being a top 15, top 10, top 5, and top guy. Those things come in echelons. And yeah, the hype on Byron Murphy. Look, I like Byron Murphy just from what I know of him. I haven't done a lot of studying on him, to be quite honest with you, because the Washington Commanders have Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. So as long as they got Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen, I don't need to study guys like Byron Murphy II because it's just not going to happen. Right. But what I do know about defense tackles in the National Football League today is, for the most part, if your defensive tackle is your best player on your defensive front, you have a problem. Like I remember Vita Vea leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in sacks in 2022. And the entire offseason it was, we love Vita Vea. We think he's one of the best DTs in the NFL, but we do not want him leading this team in sacks again. We need to go find other sack producers because you don't want that guy in the middle of your defense being the best. You look at Aaron Donald, he kind of transcends that conversation a little bit because he's so good that it's kind of okay. But at the same time, when's the last time people were really terrified? And I mean really terrified of the Los Angeles Rams defense. Not they're okay, not they're pretty solid, not they can do something. No. Terrified. Purple people leaders, Bucs defense of 2002, all those types of things. When did that happen with Aaron Donald? It wasn't very often. Go back to that 2002 Bucs defense. Warren Sapp, one of the best defensive tackles to ever play the game. But he had 3 other Hall of Famers playing on the same defense with him to help win that Super Bowl. You don't want your defensive tackle being one of the best players or being the best player on your defense anyway. And again, I cover the Commanders who have 2 first-round DTs on their defense, and now everybody's talking about how they have to have linebackers. They got to have edge. You need a box safety. So exactly, like you love the guy, you love the position, you love the potential, but to invest that kind of capital when you are a team that potentially needs some pieces to get you to the postseason or better in the postseason, spending on a D tackle who usually is going to be used to take up space, take up blocks while your linebacker or safety comes from the second level, doesn't seem like a great use of draft capital. Another player, Wig, that's stock is supposedly rising is Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. And I actually had a little bit of a conversation with this with Luke Braun a couple of weeks ago on Locked On NFL about whether or not we believed it actually was rising or whether we believe this was agent talk, but it's still here. It's still coming. Michael Penix Jr., I'm seeing Wig as high as 11. If the Vikings can't execute a trade or get a trade, he might go top 12. What do you think of that?
I like the fact that he is getting more credit. By the way, on the interior, Chris Jones is another one that's really, really good, but he can also go outside. Yeah. But he's also 6'5", 300 pounds. But I like the fact that Penix is getting more love because I thought he earned it. And there were some things to question: his knee, his delivery, and they thought he was small with little hands. He wasn't. He got big hands, and he's a legit 6'2", 216 pounds, and he had all the tape in the world. Now the talk today, I saw Ben Solak talk about ball placement, and I love Ben, but I'm just, if you put it anywhere near the vicinity of a wide receiver in the NFL, they're supposed to catch it. And ball placement is really, really important, but I think he's going to get a lot more love than we anticipated. I'm thinking it's going to be an AFC West thing. It's going to either be Denver or the Las Vegas, the Raiders. It's going to be one of those teams that's going to say, we need a quarterback. Dang it, it better be him, because if it's Bo Nix, somebody going to get me climbing all up in their business for about a week, right? But I think that you're looking at a situation where, okay, we can't get our guy, but we may end up with the quote-unquote Russell Wilson of this draft, meaning the guy that everybody forgot about that was super, super productive in college. Because we're picking where we're picking, we got a little bit better ball club than those teams that are picking in the first 2 or 3 selections. You put him there with Devontae Adams and presumably a better offensive line and a team that's going to lead with their defense, you might have something if you put him in Las Vegas. I think the situation in Denver is a little bit more touch and go because even though they have Sean Payton, who's quarterback friendly, he ain't quarterback friendly to everybody because if he was, Russell Wilson would still be there. And they got so many more deficiencies. I think he could have a hard time. So it might be a fact of not just him, but where he goes that really, really matters or how good he'll be in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I think the location of where you get drafted is much more important than the position, the number position that you get drafted. And so I think that's something that Michael Penix Jr. needs to remember as he goes through this process. And Dane Brugler of the Athletics' last mock draft, he has Michael Penix Jr. going number 29 overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. I like that draft position much more than, say, like 11 or 12 for Michael Penix Jr. But, I mean, look, if he ends up with the Raiders earlier, it's the same situation. Or if he ends up with them 29th overall, it's the same situation. You might be wondering how the Raiders could draft Michael Penix Jr. at somewhere 29. Well, it would be through a trade, and that's just one trade we could see happen on day one of the 2024 NFL Draft. We'll talk about that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On NFL, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Yahoo Finance. Wouldn't it be great if you could see all of your investment and retirement accounts in one place? With Yahoo Finance, you can consolidate your views from multiple accounts into one hub and access the expert analysis you need to tend to your entire portfolio with confidence. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking for that extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. They are the number one finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. So, for comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com, the number one financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. Thanks again for making Locked On NFL your first listener, your first view today and every day. Everydayers, once again, thanks for coming through on a regular basis like you do. Make sure you come back on Monday. Kevin Ostreicher is going to kick off draft week. We will be in the week of the NFL draft next time we see you, and he will have some people coming through with him to talk about everything that's about to come up. The Locked On NFL mock draft special is available now. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on Locked On NFL Draft to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL mock draft available now on Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I know that Tony Wiggins was in trade talks with the Jacksonville Jaguars first pick. I was in trade talks trying to get the Washington Commanders back in the first round. So a lot of conversations happening around that mock draft special. Certainly, if you have the time and you like the NFL draft, which you probably do if you're listening to this show this time of year, go check that out. Wig, it's time to talk about those day one movements, talking about trades and opportunities. And let's pick right back up where we left off. So Dane Brugler of The Athletic, again, did his recent mock draft. He had the Las Vegas Raiders trading up to number 29 with the Detroit Lions, who are, of course, the host city's team. And that would probably not make Lions fans very happy. Wait all the way to pick number 29. And in this projected trade, the Raiders would give picks 44 and 77 to the Lions for pick number 29, which means no new Lions on night one. And all those Lions fans sitting out there at the NFL draft will wait all night just for a trade to come through. Wig, Lions general manager Brad Holmes recently said, quote, "We have to do the right thing for the organization. And if it makes sense and it lines up and it's the right thing to do, then we have to do the right thing." And so say that happens where the fans have been waiting there all night for this pick and we get an offer that we really can't turn down. It makes sense. We've got to do the right thing and hopefully our fans will forgive us, end quote. Listen, every media member, no matter what level of journalism you're in, started this business because you're a sports fan, period. You may not have started a football fan, but whatever it is, you're a sports fan. So Wig, put your fan hat back on. You're out there. It's Duval in April. It's humid. You've been out there all night. And finally, your Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock and they trade the pick to the Las Vegas Raiders. What do you think of that scenario?
I'll be sitting here waiting for the PA announcer to say, "And on your way out, we're going to give you a stub. And tomorrow's party is free when you come back, when we get all 3 of these picks that we're going to make and we choose them." Because you would have to come back tomorrow. Like, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here. But you can definitely come back tomorrow when we're about to start this party all over again. That's exactly what I would be expecting to hear, because going out there doing all of that and waiting till the very last minute. The last time the Jaguars picked 29th, they took Taven Bryan, and my man Lamar Jackson was sitting right there. And those people booed like crazy. So my experience tells me that I can tell Lion fans this. Better you wait until the second round and pick two people than you take Taven Bryan like we did while Lamar Jackson was sitting up there on that board. So it won't make you feel any better if they take a player you hate at that spot. It won't make you feel better than if they move back and get a couple more bites of the apple. But I do know that that's a little bit anticlimactic to have this party at your own house, and then they say the guest of honor ain't coming out. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what that'll be like. But I do anticipate more movement. I anticipate a lot of movement up front, up top. I keep hearing about the Jets. And I keep hearing that they're not going to just sit and wait on Brock Bowers. That the Jets may be a team, at least according to Daniel Jeremiah, may trade up to number 5 if Marvin Harrison Jr. is still there. That's dangerous. Him and Wilson and Garrett Wilson and that running back with Aaron Rodgers, they will really be doing Aaron Rodgers a big favor. He says he wants to play 2 more years. Well, he'll have every reason to if he can stay upright, if they manage to find a way to trade for Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh yeah. That would be absolutely massive. And Wig, we came into Thursday morning and there were still conversations happening around the internet and sports talk circles that maybe the Washington Commanders would be blown away by a trade offer and trade back. They had all these quarterbacks come in, including Michael Penix Jr. So maybe they would be willing to move back. Cause the Chicago Bears, like Caleb Williams, they might as well just announce that right here and now. Literally the only quarterback the Bears brought in for a top 30 visit is Caleb Williams. It's going to happen, but they're still going to make us wait till the entire clock runs out on the number 1 overall pick. But Adam Peters on Thursday told us that they feel pretty good at number 2. Like he was flat out asked, is there a way you're going to move out of number 2? And he said, I think we're pretty good. I think we're good at number 2. So the draft really starts at number 3. And the New England Patriots. And we've already talked about what the Lions GM said. Well, the Patriots director of scouting, Elliot Wolf, also recently said, quote, we're open to anything, moving up, moving down. We're open for business in the first round and every round. We have some holes we feel like we need to fill in the draft, and we're a draft and develop team, end quote. He said more than that. Later on, he also said, we think we're good enough to support a rookie quarterback right here and now. Well, it's interesting. If you're open for business everywhere and you got a lot of holes, you can't be both that and ready to support a rookie quarterback. So it's just really interesting that the New England Patriots, for everything that they need and everything they don't have, might actually bypass drafting a quarterback at number 3 when everyone says you're not always going to be drafting that high. You need to take the quarterback. But if they do want to get out of that number 3 position, or if they're willing to, I think the Minnesota Vikings have to be the obvious connection there, right? They've got the 2 first-round picks, depending on which chart you're looking at. If you're looking at the Rich Hill chart, 11 and 23 alone is enough to move up to number 3. The quarterback tax might require a little bit more, but I think right there, the NFL draft starts at number 3 right now, because you may have a question of which quarterback Washington's going to take, but they're taking a quarterback at number 2. So quarterback at 1, quarterback at 2, number 3 is going to be a quarterback, but is it going to be the Patriots or is it going to be the Vikings?
It's a very, very good question. I'll answer that in just a second. I think it's going to be Minnesota. I think it's going to be Minnesota, and they're going to take away a lot of Monty Ossenfort's hopes and desires of moving back. I think the Patriots are going to beat them to the punch. And the Patriots are going to probably tell them, look, and by them saying, I kind of get what they're saying, that they can support a rookie quarterback, because that means by support, that means they're going to show him how to hold a clipboard and put his hat on and watch.
Hey.
Now you're on for a year. That's what they're going to do while they build the rest of the team out around him. That's what they're going to do. So, yeah, they're not built for a rookie to come in and play right now. So that means they probably ain't taking one. So if I'm them, I beat Arizona to the punch. I don't let Monty Ossenfort get all of that stuff. I just call them and say, Minnesota, y'all want to go to 4? That's fine. But you can come to 3 and have your pick of both of those quarterbacks that's left. Because guess what? We want to move out of here. So if you don't, I'm going to trade to another team that might come up and get one, and then you'll be left hoping it's not the one you really, really want. So just do business with me. Don't worry about them. Just give me whatever you were giving them. And that's what I'd do if I were New England. I move back and I'd build my roster out and I'd ride with Jacoby Brissett this year, and I'd wait and see what Jameis Winston looks like next year. And if I got to ride with Jacoby Brissett again and wait for a quarterback to come around, you cannot rush it. And to me, if you're getting quarterback 3 at pick 3, you're rushing it.
Yeah. No, makes a lot of sense. So that's just 3 trades that could potentially go down. Of course, there's a lot more. There's teams potentially moving back up into the back end of the first round. Could certainly see the Washington Commanders try to do that, just like I tried to do during our Locked On NFL Draft mock special, and I was unsuccessful. So hopefully if they try to do it, they are more successful than I am. But speaking of teams that may or may not be successful, there's a couple of teams that Wig and I are not necessarily feeling should be all that excited with draft weekend coming up. We'll tell you who those teams are coming up next on today's episode of Locked On NFL, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by Monopoly Go. I have been told that I can be a competitive person, and well, yeah, I do have a competitive side to me, but I think that we all do, at least to a certain extent. My competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure that you've heard of it because it's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but hundreds of potential Monopoly boards, crazy locations, building up amazing cities that, of course, bring you big money. But the best part is you get to mess with your friends, mess with your family as you play with them. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like the classic Monopoly game. But now I can also crack into their vaults and heist all of their riches for myself. And the leaderboards show me that I'm the biggest Monopoly tycoon around. But it's not just the competitive side of me that loves it. You can also team up with those friends, team up with your family and people all around the world in timed tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get into the game and join your friends in an all-new way. Download Monopoly Go now for free on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. Wrapping up today's episode of Locked On NFL, we have talked about the smokescreen sessions and season that is the NFL draft buildup. Talked about some day one potential movement that could happen. Now we're going to talk about a couple teams who may not be all that excited to join or to be having these festivities. Pretty much, Wig, I mean, this is supposed to be the time where every team sees the potential and the future and all that stuff. These teams may not be in that light. I've got a little bit of a hot take team, so I'm going to let you go first, though. Which team would you not want to be next weekend at the NFL draft?
Without hesitation, I would not want to be the Denver Broncos because they are sitting in Never Never Land, in my opinion. They need a quarterback. They need an edge rusher. They need offensive line help. They sound like they're going to trade the receivers that they still have left. I just don't know what the hell Denver's up to and what they're doing under the leadership of Sean Payton. And I will give them credit. I thought the roster was horrible. They looked horrible. And then all of a sudden they end up picking 11 or 12 because they played better down the stretch last year and actually had a chance to get into the playoffs at the end of the season. So kudos to him for doing that in the AFC. It shows what kind of good coach he is once you can get past all the other BS. But they are in a real bad spot if they try to push and really, really press for a quarterback. If I were them, man, instead of drafting the 4th or 5th best quarterback in this draft, and I'd take the best of something. Whatever you're going to get at 12, other than wide receiver, you're going to have the chance to get 1 or 2 of the best. Okay, so you might not get Joe Alt, but you might get the 2nd best tackle. You might get the first selection of corners. You can get the first edge rusher if Atlanta doesn't take Dallas Turner. You can get the first defensive tackle on the board. I might just be thinking like, just go and get something that's the best and the first of something so you can say you got the best at that position and then come back around in round 2. If Bo Nix or Spencer Rattler's there and you need a guy that you can try to develop into the next Drew Brees type player, then do that. But I wouldn't push it. I wouldn't jump at it too far in the first round if I were them. I know we just talked about Michael Penix, but we talked about going to a different situation. I think a quarterback going to the Las Vegas franchise right now, as it is constructed, is way different from putting that same guy in a situation in Denver, which would be like a Mac Jones type situation, and he won't have any success. So we got to watch the organizations that we bring guys into. We also have to try to get what is good while the getting is good. And I think that what I'd do if I were them, instead of taking the 5th best player at an offensive position, no matter how important it is, I try to take the first best player at a certain position to at least say, I got the number 1 choice I wanted in this draft at that spot. Even if it's Brock Bowers, man, I don't care. Get somebody that makes a difference and is the best at what they do. You don't have to get everybody in one off season. You don't have to fill all your squares in. We're not playing bingo here. It's football. So where you're short in one area, you can strengthen that by being real good in another area. So just don't push it and don't force it. But I will admit they're in a little bit of Never Never Land because they're too good to get a real good quarterback and probably not good enough to really get anybody that's going to make a difference at that position next year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So if I was just picking a person, I would go with Dave Canales, the new Carolina Panthers head coach, because he's got a mess on his hands. And I don't know that he's going to get even a full season to prove to David Tepper that this draft class is going to make the last draft class look any better. Oh, by the way, minus Brian Burns on top of it. But if I'm going to go with the team, Wig, this is a little bit of a hot take because I'm going to go with an 11-6 team from 2023. This is a team that went 11-6 last year, finished second place in the AFC North. And I do not want to be this team because the Cleveland Browns, here's the situation the Cleveland Browns are facing. They have 5 draft picks in this NFL draft. 2 of those are 6th and 7th round picks. So they've got 3 picks in the first 5 rounds of the NFL draft. No first round pick because of the trade for Deshaun Watson. And you are married to Deshaun Watson. Like you are tied to Deshaun Watson. And listen, I know they won 11 games last year. I know Uncle Joe came through and flaccoed them into conversations and relative competitiveness, but that was lightning in a bottle. That was not the norm. And I do not trust Mike Tomlin to keep the Pittsburgh Steelers down for too long. Because first of all, it ain't his fault they're down anyway. The Baltimore Ravens just got done trying to be Super Bowl favorites. And the Cincinnati Bengals are getting Joe Burrow back. And we'll see what happens with his receivers and all that stuff. But they're probably going to be pretty solid. So you're going to be in one of the most competitive divisions, if not the most competitive divisions. You don't have any capital to really move around with. You can't afford to spend picks to move up. So the best bet is maybe move down or, like you just said, take the best player available. Just take the best guy you can. Start setting some of these rookie contracts up so you can let some of these expensive contracts going up. Because right now, Wig, the Browns are they're just clinging. I mean, you bring in Jerry Jeudy, that's great, but if you don't got a quarterback to throw to him, it's not going to matter. And Deshaun Watson, who knows what he's going to turn into or what he's going to be in another season. If you have to turn to backup Jameis Winston, well, that's not good. Trust me. I covered him for the first 5 years of his career.
James got better, man. He's moving to it. Come on, man. Give my boy a break, man.
Quarterback. I love the kid.
Man. He's better. He's funny. He's the most unintentionally funny person in the league, man.
I love Jameis. Well, yeah, but I do not envy the Browns situation. If you're a Browns fan and they win the Super Bowl, by all means, go ahead and hit me back up and let me know how wrong I was. But wait, before we get out of here, I want to present something to you and I want to get your take on it.
All right.
I just kind of dumbly stumbled on this. I don't know if that's a word. So for 50 years, the NFL draft was held in New York City.
Okay.
Ever since 2015, the NFL draft has been traveling, right? First 2 years, 2015, 16, it went to Chicago, then Philly, then Arlington, which is Dallas, then Nashville, the home of the Tennessee Titans. 2020 was a COVID year, 21 year in Cleveland, 22 Vegas, 23 Kansas City. This year we're in Detroit. Wig, outside of wide receiver Kevin White in the 2015 NFL draft, so the first draft outside of New York in 50 years at that time, every single other city that has hosted the NFL draft has drafted a defensive player in the first round. The only exception was COVID because no city hosted it, right? Mm-hmm. And 2022, when the Las Vegas Raiders didn't pick anybody in the first round or the second round. But the Chicago Bears, Leonard Floyd in 2016, the Eagles took Derek Barnett in 17, the Cowboys took Leighton Vander Esch in 18, the Titans took Jeffrey Simmons in 19, the Browns took Greg Newsome the second in 21, 23 was Kansas City, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, defensive end, and our own Matt Derry, host of Locked On Lions, in our mock drafts took cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry for the Detroit Lions. So is this trend, I mean, I don't know, trend, streak, whatever you want to call it, is this going to continue, you think?
I think it will continue. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look down. Look at that. Look at that. Our guy is just as smart. My guy, Matt Derry, who some people have accused of me and him looking alike. It's just that I'm black and he's white, but we kind of like got the same beard. And I call him my brother from another mother. So Daniel Jeremiah, who I have an awful lot of respect for, has them taking Kool-Aid McKinstry. How about that? So guess what? My man might be omniscient, and I think they're going to be on to something because they do need defensive help. They need people who can play defensive back. They need another edge rusher on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson. They could probably use another defensive tackle as well. I'm going to go with it. I think that's exactly what's going to happen, and I did not know that. That is some more knowledge that I did not know I needed, but I do need that now. I would sound like the smartest person in the barbershop tomorrow when I'll go, every time somebody hosts a draft, they draft a defensive player when it's been held out of New York City. So now you made me smarter.
Except for
except the first
one. The only time, the first one, but they
probably look at me. They probably wish they'd have done it too, looking back. But Yeah, that's very, very interesting. And I do believe that it's trending. Well, according to us, what we said earlier, it's trending that they're going to trade that pick. So they might not have a pick in the first round, and all those Detroit people.
Which would still leave the streak alive that every team since 2016, starting in 2016, every host city that picked in the first round has drafted a defensive player. So not important information, but it's information nonetheless. Wig, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Coming up on Monday, Kevin Ostreicher of Locked On Ravens will be back to host a whole new episode of Locked On NFL. So make sure you're subscribed, turn on the notifications, and come back for that. For your second listen of the day, check out Locked On Jags, Locked On Commanders, or stick around here and go to Locked On Sports Today, the first ever 24/7 sports streaming channel on YouTube. As always, thank you for making Locked On NFL your first listen of the day every day. Thanks for coming through on a regular basis like you do. For Tony Wiggins and David Harrison, we will see you right back here next Friday following round 1 of the 2024 NFL Draft for another episode of Locked On NFL, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.